Welcome to another edition of Dianne Andrews in Black and White, an open discussion about the issues you don't want to talk about and the arts you need to know. Now, here's your host, Dianne Andrews.
Hello, I'm Dianne Andrews of Dianne Andrews in Black and White. We welcome you today. We've been doing some very serious topics, and this is the fourth we're doing in 4 weeks on computer hacking. Everybody knows what it is. Everybody has potentially been hacked. The Russian mafia has hacked a lot of our mainframes and hacked places such as Target. When we heard about it last year around Christmas time, everybody was amazed. 2 weeks ago, Home Depot was hacked for 56 million payment cards and nobody thought anything about it. So I want to ask you, who stole our data? What are they doing with our data? And why are they stealing our data? And what you need to do to understand how to protect yourself even better. So in doing that today, I have two guests with me. One, the president of ShareVista, Skip Sharrer. And then I have Raquel Sims, who is a mass communication major at Southern University, who is going to talk to us about her iPhone being hacked by an ex-boyfriend. And we've heard a lot about this also in the media about the Google being hacked into, about other iPhones being hacked into, and celebrities who are suing Google because they had their pictures, people are getting their pictures and they're selling their pictures on, quote, the black market, or just looking at them being naked. So I guess let's not take any naked pictures if we don't think people, if you don't want people to see them. Okay, Skip, you are a math major, I'm sorry, pure
yes,
mathematics, as I am. When we were talking, my undergrad is pure mathematics also. But Skip took it a step further. He ended up getting a master's degree in pure math, while I have an MBA. So Skip is a guy from that Southern California coast. He likes the beach out there, but he ended up down here with us in this humid Louisiana bayou. Tell me how that happened, Skip.
Well, the short answer, I guess, is marriage. So I met someone from here who was on the West Coast at school, and as things progressed, got to know her, and we got married and moved here to be near her family. So I just buy lots of shirts.
I just did a bullying. She didn't bully you to get you down here from Southern California to Baton Rouge, Louisiana is a big step.
That's right. It is. It's a great place to live, though. Great place to grow up.
A lot of good people, a lot of good food.
Yes.
A lot of good food, but
yes.
I still like that beach on Southern California. Let's talk about what the people, we often hear IT and IS, information technology versus information systems. Is there a big difference in the words when people hear them, Skip?
Practically, no, probably. Most people treat it kind of as interchangeable parts, but I'd suggest maybe there's a subtle difference in that we look at it, information technology, all of technology really, are a set of tools. So, you got all kinds of things. You got phones and switches and routers and PCs and laptops and so forth. To me, that's the information technology component. An information system is a particular configuration of those components that is put together to accomplish a task at a business. So, it's a bit like if you're building a house, you got hammers and screwdrivers and rakes and stuff I don't know how to use, by the way, and but you use all of those tools, and they come together, and you have a house, which is the system, if you will. So you use that to build the particular system that you manage.
Okay, let's talk about, we're going to talk about a lot from the mainframe systems with you, and some on the small systems too, and then Rachel will explain her story to us of what this ex-boyfriend did to get into her iPhone, or why he may have done it, and what he's done, and what she's doing about that. Skip, so when we look at why are people stealing the payment cards?
Well, I can summarize that in one word: money.
Greed, theft.
It's almost created. You can think of an analogy of maybe the drug system. You have people grow drugs and they sell it to the next level. They create them, they bring them over here, they sell them to dealers, etc. Each time the price goes up a little. Well, for example, you take the payment cards, like if you take all the cards that Target or Home Depot lost, that were stolen from them, they all end up on a website, usually somewhere buried in Russia, Eastern Europe, somewhere.
On the black market.
For example, the ones that were stolen for both Home Depot and Target ended up at rescator.cc.
So anybody could go
you
in
can
there
go to that
and get
website. I went to it the other night just to be sure. You can go to it and look, and you can say, give me a couple 100,000 cards or whatever, because those sites, they're in other countries. We have no jurisdiction. We can't shut them down. Odds are those countries don't even know where they are in those countries, and people go online and they buy them, and they normally will sell them for roughly like the Target cards. I mean, the Home Depot cards were about 50 to 100 bucks a piece initially, because they had very good quality. They had high limits, long expiration dates. Well, people will buy those. They turn around. They use those to immediately buy prepaid cards somewhere that you can get. They use the prepaid cards to then buy vendor cards like Best Buy, etc. And they do that just in order to muddy the waters. It's kind of like money laundering. It's card laundering. And then finally, they buy products with those. And by the time somebody tries to catch up with it, they're long gone. Those products get shipped and converted to cash, whether it's to a local site and they hope to be quick enough. In some cases, they send them to people that they've hired, kind of like mules, who send them overseas for them.
Talking about a system.
Oh, it's a system.
They've got a system
Yeah.
put together. If people would take this kind of energy and devote it to curing cancer, or devote that kind of energy to something positive, but I guess it works for them because they get what they want to. At the end of the day, they got a lot of money
They
behind
get a lot
this.
of money. You got an MBA in card theft.
That's right.
Yeah.
That should have and they
Yeah.
probably do have a
They
university
probably
where they're
have, for all I
training
know.
people how to do this.
Yeah.
So is there something, now we talk about malware, spyware, and all these different wares, like the Norton systems, the McAfee's, the PC watchdogs. Now, what I read something, because I'm a programmer, I was a programmer, I told
That's
you, at
right,
the
yeah,
Houston
back when.
Space Center for IBM when we had the space shuttle, and I did a similar language coding. I can read a dump, 0 and 1, the binary system, which people with high-level language don't understand all of that.
Yeah.
But if any system can be written, a program can be broken. That's just the bottom line. There's always somebody who can find a way, a gate into that system to do what they want to and bring that system down or create another system from it. But because they're all man-made, all the programs are man-written. Now, I read something about some of the malwares, and like Neiman's has had this problem, eBay has had this problem. JP Morgan, they say 1/5 of every American's information is in that JP Morgan Chase banking system. And so they were doing the same kind of thing, right? That they were doing with the, what do they do with the banking personal data versus the payment cards? We know what they did. But JP Morgan, I think they just stole information.
Yeah, if they steal information, though, it can be used similarly in that, somehow it can be converted to, for example, if in that information are the credit card numbers, well, now you just
Right.
order online. You don't need the cards any longer for that kind of thing. In other cases, they sell it to people who are then turning around and trying to target. People are trying to sell maybe some kind of high-end systems. They would like a nice, very accurate list of people who make more than $1 million a year or something like that. So that information, all of it has value at some point for somebody to make some money.
Well, information is money.
Yeah, it is.
You'll find a way to use it. And we know we think the Russian mafia is what the papers are printing. Is there any other big organization that we may know of or is in the papers, in the news, that is doing part of this too?
There more or less are cliques or groups of folks that are a part of this. And there was a relatively well-known group, but it wasn't necessarily a mafia group, that did the hacking at Target and at Home Depot. But for example, there was just a couple of very smart kids who originally hacked. I think it was Heartland was one of the first credit card hacks, and it occurred when they were driving down the street, and they just had like an iPad or a PC with wireless capability. They were looking for open connections.
Yeah.
Lo and behold, they drove by it, and there was an open Wi-Fi connection. Got into it. From the parking lot, they managed to get into it and eventually insert a virus of sorts, or probably more spyware. Viruses tend to be more malicious. They replicate. They were one of the first ones that came out. But spywares become more insidious because it basically, spyware does not really want to be caught. It wants to just observe and send that upstream without anybody knowing about it.
That's almost like a cancer, which is a virus, but cancers hide.
Yes.
And they go into the body and hide. Like bacteria, we have antibiotics for. There's nothing we can do for a virus, and cancer's a very smart virus.
It is
so they
indeed.
gave these the right names, viruses,
That's
spyware,
right, yeah.
and malware. Now, between malware and spyware, is that pretty much the same, or is there a difference?
Well, I think malware has become more of a all-encompassing umbrella, because it's for malicious in some sense. Anything that wants to make you do something you really don't want to do. So So viruses kind of are a subset of that, spyware, and then there are other categories that are hard to even know what to call them. You know, you may go to a website, the next thing you know, you're getting these pop-up ads for things. Well, it's really, we start just calling it malware. It's not really spying in the sense it's grabbing your cards. It's not a virus, but it's sure a nuisance. So, you know, the internet lets you go anywhere you want to go, get to all kinds of information. That's the good news. The bad news is the internet lets you go anywhere you want to go and get all kind of information. The next thing you know, so you can be infected by a variety of different things. And a lot of these guys are really smart. They'll queue up and reserve domain names that are right next to ones you go to. You know, you can bet that now I think a lot of them have been bought up, but there was Google.com, and then you had Google with 3 O's.com, and then you had Google.co, which is a different country.
They had one with 2 G's instead of the 2 O's.
There was a classic one years ago. I haven't checked to see if it's still alive, but whitehouse.gov takes you to the government website for the White House, as it should. You go to whitehouse.com, it's a pornography site. So they knew people would type that improperly.
Right, by mistake, and then may want to see what's going on that porno site.
Yes, it really is. They're very smart people.
Yeah.
And but not to be confused.
Yeah.
So,
very devious people, but very smart people.
Exactly.
They're the kind of people you don't want to go to dinner with, and and not leave your purse around with your credit cards in it. They'll steal them out of there too, probably.
That's right. Yeah. Take it when you go to the restroom. Exactly right.
So. Tell me what, you have 12 people working for you. Do you get, as you know, my system has been down for several days.
Yes.
I think, and it has a monster virus on it called some Trojans on it. And I'm trying now to get my system back up at my home. But tell me, your people, do they deal a lot with the viruses, the spyware, the malware, trying to go into customers and fix these problems?
Well, that's a good question. We end up dealing with them more than we should. If you have a good antivirus program, and there's a good dozen of them that are reputable, do a good job if you keep them current. In addition to some, often we recommend maybe 2 or 3 because they all have different strengths. So there's another one that's specializes in malware, and another one certain kinds of spyware. But if you keep those up to date, it is extremely rare. Not sure I can think of a time we've had an issue. But if you don't, it's an open door. And in fact, what's very interesting about the Home Depot attack is that they'd had 2 audits earlier, a year or 2 before, that had said, you've got a problem here. And the fix is to implement a certain feature in their AV system. And they decided not to do it because it would have made things more cumbersome for the people who were operating
when you
the
say
machines.
AV, you're talking antivirus.
Antivirus, I'm sorry, yes, thank you. Yeah, an antivirus system.
Yeah.
So the folks said, they said, no, we'll be okay. And so somebody had egg on their face, and I don't know who, but nonetheless, if that had been implemented in theory, it might have blocked the...
I read that a lot of them, their systems have not been updated to have the defense, which is a defensive mechanism, so the hackers can get in and breach your data.
That's right.
And a lot of them, I think now the companies have not spent the money. I used to work for IBM, and you're always trying to get people to spend the money to protect your data, and they don't realize they need to until something like this happens.
It's insurance, and we hate to spend money in insurance, any
That's
kind.
right.
And it takes effort, proactive effort, to check those kinds of things. It's part of what we do. We have maintenance programs with a lot of clients to be sure that's happening, because we all tend to be kind of reactive. Something happens to us, now we do something about it.
Right.
And for too many, that's kind of their MO with IT. They tend to think of it purely as an expense.
Yes.
I'll wait till something bad happens and I'll deal with it. But that often means it's much worse than it would have been if you had spent a little money up front to maintain it.
Because at the end of the day, Skip, that is going to get passed down to us, the consumer, to end up paying for all these breaches as costing them billions of dollars. It's going to get trickled down to the consumer probably, right, in some form or fashion.
I think the price of rakes and plungers may go up at Home Depot.
That's
sometime
right.
soon. Exactly right.
That's right.
So,
Thank you very much. Our next guest is Raquel Sims. She's coming to us from Houston, Texas, as I had said, as a mass communications major at Southern University. Her boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, if he was an ex, he would be now, but he was her ex-boyfriend, had hacked her iPhone. And so she's been having many problems with that. She's going to describe to us what she did and how he got into her phone and what has happened since that happened. So tell us, Raquel, what happened?
It all started when he called me and said, I don't know what I did, lying, saying that I can see your recent contacts and what numbers you recently saved. So I was like, okay.
How long had you all been broken up, Raquel, when he did this? When
about maybe a month.
Okay.
About a month, and he said that he could see my recent contacts. So I said, prove it. And I said, well, give me my grandmother's number. And he went while we were on the phone, and he stated my godmother's number, and I was like, okay, well, whatever. I just brushed it off. But then he started to email me pictures of myself from my album, and I was like, that's not right. And I'm like, something's wrong about that, because that's a picture from my album. You shouldn't have access to it. So then I took it upon myself
Tell me how that made you feel, though. Did you feel like an invasion of my privacy? Almost like
I was
being
scared.
raped. Not raped, not that bad, but...
I was scared because there should be no reason why he should have access to my album at all, period, because that's my personal stuff. So
your data is really part of your life. It's who you are.
It really is. It captures every moment, pictures, numbers, everything, even my notes. So I went to Apple to try to fix the problem because it was obviously dealing with my iCloud. So when I went to Apple, and they were appalled by what I told them, how he saw everything in my contacts, and they tried to fix the problem, but what they did was make it worse. They were supposed to replace my email, which made him not accessible to my iCloud from his phone if he was logged in. That didn't happen. Something he did that they were unsure about.
So he outsmarted them. They couldn't even tell. Apple couldn't tell you
what he did to get access to my phone and get everything. So,
did he call any of your contacts that you know of, or contact any of them with any information negative about you or anything like that?
I don't know, but I feel if he probably did, he would have mentioned anything. He would have mentioned something,
or somebody would have probably called you, one of your contacts.
Yeah. So Apple, they replaced the ID, replaced the email address, and so I guess when they were merging everything together, they actually merged all of his information to my information, and I could see his contacts, his live stream. Like I saw that day I left Apple. I saw that. And I'm like, something's not right.
Did you see if he had been out with any woman since you all had broken up, so you could call him back with the same information?
I saw plenty numbers in the phone. I saw his friend's number, multiple other women's numbers.
Is that why you all broke up? Now, this is an aside from girl to girl.
Basically.
Okay.
Basic, long story short. So the next morning when I was going through my Safari, I was clicking out of my, the recent places I visited, and at the bottom I saw his name. It was his name's such and such iPhone, and I'm like, oh no, this isn't right. So I called AT&T to figure out what's going on. So they told me to come in, and when I went in, I showed them the problem. They were shocked too, like they didn't know what to do. So a dude from the back came. He said, I know exactly what you need to do. He created a whole new iCloud, deleted everything from my
This
old
is when
iCloud.
you went to the AT&T store?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Because I had told them a problem with Apple, but they said they basically had a mess up and merged everything from his phone to my phone. So he actually had access.
You got a new phone, correct?
I got a new phone and a new number.
Okay.
So AT&T created a whole new Apple ID, iCloud, email, everything. So from that point on, he wasn't able to look at anything. So if he had something, the old iCloud he had set on his phone, it would not exist. So he couldn't see anything. And it was crazy because I don't think he honestly knew what he was doing. I think he was just pushing numbers and pushing passwords to get in, and he got in. And he felt that he saw my contacts and my pictures and my notes. That was enough. But he really could have access to my messages. But I don't think he was that smart to do so. But it's scary because to know that somebody has access to your contacts, pictures, and everything.
Your life, kind of. And he's getting more angry as he sees some of the fun you were having since you all broke up.
And actually, ever since I changed my number, he emailed my old email and saw that I changed my number and asked me, was it that crucial?
Yeah, it is that crucial.
It is.
And you
it's
did
very
the right
crucial.
thing.
That's my life.
Right. So, as they're telling people now, some of the celebrities who are suing Google, please don't put pictures you don't want seen in your iPhones or your iPads and everything, because more than likely, again, if anything has been written, any code, it can be hacked. Is there any information, any advice, Skip, that you would like to give?
Yeah, put those pictures under the mattress like I do.
I was telling Skip the other day, a lot of people...
Just kidding.
Yeah.
Don't come to my house and start checking out.
Yeah, they'll find your address.
That's right. That's all we do. But just a comment on that, because it's interesting that there's this latest rash of a number of celebrities that Jennifer Lawrence and
Gwyneth
some of the others
Gabrielle,
who've all had
Kim Kardashian even,
who have all been hacked, and it was really kind of a design flaw at Apple, which may very much be the same thing that happened to you. Most of the better sites, if you go and you try to get into your account, maybe 3 or 5 times, they lock you out. Apple did not have that in place.
Really?
You were able to try at will. So the hackers, they write a little program that just does brute force. They call it a brute force attack. And it just keeps trying every combination. Not to mention, with celebrities, you know all kinds of information about them. So you try their dog's name, and you try their boyfriend's name, and their mom, and their aunt, and you know whatever else that they have. You know, what type of sofa they bought, whatever. You get all kinds of info you never had. So it's really important. From my standpoint, there's 2 things you need for a good password. One is complexity, and the other is what I call irrelevance. And what I mean by that is irrelevant from you. Maybe distance is a better word.
What do you think of these password protection programs?
Well, they're good things in that it's easy for us if we use 12 different passwords, and you drink too much Diet Coke like I do, you'll forget half of them.
That's right.
So it's there's not a bad thing to consolidate them. You just better make sure that particular safe has a really good password on it, because obviously it's a Pandora's box if somebody breaks in. You want to be sure that your passwords are complex, and a lot of things force that. You have to have a certain number of characters, you got to have a capital, whatever. That isn't so much the problem as the irrelevance part. In other words, make sure it has something that doesn't have anything to do with you. So, a lot of them are suggesting now, rather than words, put a passphrase together that you can use all the time, like, I'm a dog and Adam Sandler deserves an Oscar. Or something really ridiculous.
That is ridiculous.
That is ridiculous.
You're
It
right
sure
about
is.
that one.
So, something like that works, but nobody's going to hack that they'll try for a while, and then they'll move on to somebody else.
It's just like putting a light outside your house. Burglars go to the easiest to access.
Right.
So on that one, it makes it more difficult because they've got a lot of people just put their name and a number like me on the end of it. So I need to change
or password.
that.
The most common password is password, which is not
And
good.
we have it at the
Another
office.
thing, especially if somebody has access to your email, you can easily just simply say, I forgot my password, and it's going to send it back so you can reset it so it can lock the other person from their email, and it just goes on and on.
Right. Well, a few years ago, during the elections, Sarah Palin's was hacked by somebody who was against her because her password, I think it was her birthday or something, but there was a couple of security questions to reset it, and he went through those, and they were things like, what's your mom's name and what's your birth date and one other thing, and boom, you reset it and got in.
Yeah, I think when we're creating passwords, we don't really think about the vulnerability because this is a new age with us and in the world now with iPhones and computers. So let's take heed to everything that the problem that Raquel has had and the advice that Skip has given us. Thank you very much. We'll be right back with Dianne Andrews in Black and White. Welcome back to Dianne Andrews in Black and White. This is going to be a real fun segment. We have Dottie Botello from New Orleans Convention Company that she's owned for 27 years, who is working with the Bayou Classic. She's had it for 4 years, I think, does all the advertising and promotions. That's a big job because that's a big game.
Yes,
She's to my right. Thanks for being here,
Thank
Dottie.
you.
And to my left, I have Preston Castile, an attorney who donates his time and is the National Alumni President for Southern University. Thanks for being back.
Thank you.
Now, he's an ex-Southern grad who also went to Tulane to get his law degree. But Dottie favors Grambling. As you know, this is the 41st year. 41st year. And if fate would have it that both teams have won 20 games. Who would believe it?
There you go.
And so Dottie likes Grambling, and he's for Southern. So, okay,
Well,
let's
let
box
me
it up.
yeah, let's just make sure that your listening audience out there, we are the management team for both Grambling and Southern. But today, it's always 50-50 with these schools, 50-50 all the way down the line. So I'm going to take up for Grambling because
Grambling needs help.
Well, not necessarily. They just came out of a winning homecoming, right?
They did, but so did we.
Well, there you go.
Now,
you know?
how many games has Southern and how many have Grambling won? Do y'all know?
Way more.
4.
And it's
I
going
mean,
to all end up this season.
Southern has won more than Grambling has won this season?
No, Grambling's one up on them.
One up.
Well, yeah.
But it only matters at the end of the season
But
when
then
we
they're
take
going to
home
win
the trophy.
tomorrow or this weekend.
We're going to win
so,
this weekend, and we're going to win the Bayou Classic. That's
you
what
go.
matters.
November 28th, right? The Bayou Classic is
29th.
November 29th.
Yes.
Okay.
The Saturday after
Saturday.
Thanksgiving.
Saturday after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Always, every year, and 200,000 people show up in New Orleans that weekend. It's quite an event. It is the whole week, the entire weekend that they have festivities going on for the game.
That's correct, and it actually leads in starting on Thursday with the Thanksgiving Day Parade. Then we have Friday with our career fair. We have over 25 companies will be there.
Did you come up with the idea for the Thanksgiving Parade,
Well,
the Bayou Classic Thanksgiving?
we did bring
Yeah.
it back. I think they'd had a parade, you know, in the earlier days of Bayou Classic, but we brought it back. Who wants to be in New York City with a Macy's Day Parade when you can be in New Orleans and
Right.
warm and catch throws?
Right.
Yeah,
You know, we
it's
don't
so
have
much fun.
balloons,
Right,
but we
right.
do have throws.
I didn't even know they had a Thanksgiving Parade for the Bayou
Yes,
Classic until you said that.
it's huge,
Yeah.
and it's just getting bigger every year. And we're thrilled because it's bringing everyone out to the streets and to
Right.
enjoy the pageantry
Yeah.
and to begin to understand Bayou Classic and the importance
The
and
traditions,
the
and
tradition.
the importance of the money it brings into to the
Exactly.
state, into New Orleans, $50 million. I think
Exactly.
is how much it is.
And then also the bands, because
Yeah.
both Grambling and
Now
Southern.
you can't say, Dottie, that band
Yeah,
of
we-
Grambling
come
is
on,
better
we
than
have the Battle of the
Southern's band.
Bands
Yeah.
every year,
my
and
God.
Southern
Can't take up
wins
for that.
hands
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll break the tie this year.
I don't
with
know
the,
that you
with
know
the game.
that Southern wins every
We
year. We
do
have
win
not
every year.
ever had a trophy. But
Anybody
guess what?
who's watched the Battle of the Bands will know that Southern wins every year.
Yes,
And
but-
we'll do it again this year, Doc.
But guess what happens this year? We're going to let the listening audience and the attendees decide who wins this year.
And we will win again this year by whatever
And we're
criteria.
going to have a trophy that's going to be given out. Now, they have not had a trophy given
Now, I know
out.
they could go on and on with this all night,
could.
so I'm going to close it out with them, and you all will decide and
Go
we'll know
Jags.
at the end of November 29th who won the Battle of the Bands and the game. Have a great day. We'll be right back with
And
Dianne
go
Andrews.
Jags.
Welcome back. Dottie wanted to let you know you can get your tickets from Ticketmaster on both campuses of the college. And also, she was playing around being a Grambling fan. She loves them both. Everybody knows at the end of the day and the end of the shows, I always do a little ritual that says if everyone lit just one little candle, what a bright world this would be. And at every issue, there's always a shade of gray. We ask you to look at the issues and you take the facts and let's go out and not trying to change you, but just trying to make sure you're an informed individual in the world and make your decisions from being informed. But while you're doing that, make the world a better place and start with you. So everyone, have a great day, and we brought some great programs to you, and we continue to bring what you want us to bring. Thank you and goodbye from Dianne Andrews in Black and White.